Welcome to the Better Together Here podcast with your hosts Devin
and Ashley,
helping you make the most of your time in New York City. Hey everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Better Together Here podcast. My name is Devin.
And my name is Ashley.
And in today's episode, we are going to do something very important, which is line out 10 different free things that you can do while you are here in New York City, because New York is expensive. The food's a little bit more expensive, drinks are more expensive, entertainment is a little bit more expensive than what you're probably used to. And so having a list of free activities can help balance out your travel budget, or if you live here, just give you some new ideas for things to do. And the last item on our list is going to be how you can get into live show tapings for free. So you're not going to want to miss that. Let's get right into it. All right, the first one on our list, arguably our favorite part about New York City, Central Park. Central Park is completely free. Of course, you could go do something that does cost money within Central Park, like a tour or the ice skating in the winter, but pretty much everything in Central Park is free. And there is so much to explore. We have done complete episodes. We have complete guides on our website. We have really gone in depth on Central Park, but we'll give you some of the highlights if you're wanting some free things to do.
One of our favorite activities to do when we are in Central Park, usually on like a weekend afternoon or early evening, is to go explore the amazing musicians that are all over Central Park.
A couple places where you can often find them is in the mall/literary walk. They are there very frequently. There is a guitarist who sits in Bethesda Terrace pretty much at all times. I've seen him there as early as like 7 a.m. and as late as 7 p.m. He is there all the time, and just different areas. And you kind of just have to explore and keep your ears open and find where there's music and go listen for free.
A lot of times underneath some of the bridge underpasses, there will be musicians because there's nice echoes in some of those tunnels. A lot of times there are musicians outside of the carousel. And like Devin mentioned, also the literary walk always has musicians, especially on the weekends.
Yeah, weekends are best, or evenings on weekdays, depending on the season. But yeah, check that out. Another free thing you can do is go bird watching. We've talked about it before. Central Park has hundreds and hundreds of birds that pass through at different times of the year. You can download the Merlin Bird ID app and check out all the different birds. The best place to go is often the Ramble. So check that out. Arguably my favorite spot in the park. It is under construction right now. We're recording this in September of 2024. Part of it is under construction. Part of it is available, but the Conservatory Garden. It is a unique, professional, highly manicured garden with two different areas, two different styles of gardens, a massive fountain and lawn in the middle. I mean, it is a slice of Central Park that not many people experience, but is absolutely amazing. And you can go there and spend multiple hours exploring it. So definitely the Conservatory Garden. And on a general note for Central Park, if you're wanting to explore, know that there is a Central Park audio guide. We have done an entire episode about this. Basically, you can scan QR codes, or you can even call a phone number, and there are audio guides giving you descriptions of the main landmarks within Central Park, telling you about the history, telling you about why it's named, what it's named, all that good stuff. And you can really have your own tour in Central Park completely for free with the Central Park audio guide.
I also will add that if you are a fan of dogs, dog lover, dog enthusiast, Central Park has so many dog breeds for you to see. Sometimes the owners will let you pet them, but specifically if you go before 9 a.m., most of the dogs are off leash. There are legal off leash hours in Central Park. So if you want to go and see some dogs, highly recommend going to Central Park before 9 a.m. and seeing all of the breeds.
And that leads us to number 2 on our list of free things to do, which is the High Line and Little Island. We have talked about both of these in some way, shape, or form on previous episodes and on our website. The High Line was an old railroad track that was above ground that was used to transport stuff out of the meatpacking district, which is where the High Line is, into other parts of the city, often to get onto boats in different areas. Eventually fell into disarray. Eventually was renovated and turned into an absolutely beautiful park. And it's a long park. So, it is following an old railroad track. And so it's not the widest park, but it covers a long distance. What's nice about the High Line is it can be an activity that takes you a couple hours. If you started all the way up at Hudson Yards and went down to the bottom where you get off at Gansevoort, which is close to like 12th Street near the Whitney, it would take you a couple hours if you're taking it kind of slow and enjoying the architecture around and looking at the plants and reading the plaques and looking at some of the art exhibitions that are along the High Line. It really is a great free activity. And as part of your High Line experience, you can actually pop off near Little Island, which is a island that is built out in the Hudson on the water. And it is a very unique park. Again, tons of plants and flowers and trees and shrubs and beautiful views. The High Line and Little Island combo, it's a great way to pass a few hours and explore different parts of New York that you may not have before.
I would also add that it's a great way to see some really awesome city views. If you would like to see some really gorgeous skyline views or want a place to go for sunset, highly recommend checking out Little Island and getting some of those city views and over the water sunset views.
And that leads us to number 3 on our list, which you might scoff at this, but let me tell you, New York is the best for people watching. So number 3 on our list is to people watch. Some of our favorite places to people watch, Washington Square Park might be at the top of the list. Washington Square Park is just like this bustling area. It's near NYU. It's downtown. There's so much going on. There are all types of different people coming through. There's often live performers, people dancing, people skateboarding, people living their lives. It is just kind of this hub for culture and life happening in one concentrated area. And that's Washington Square Park. Probably my favorite place to people watch.
I feel like every time we go to Washington Square Park, there's always a whole bunch of skateboarders that are perfecting their tricks, jumping over different things, encouraging each other when they land different awesome tricks. As current skaters, previous skaters, we really love watching them.
Yeah, it's a good time. A couple other spots that are good for people watching, if that's what you want to do. Times Square. I mean, obviously you get the experience of Times Square, but if you go sit up on the stairs above the TKTS booth, you'll see it. It's a big red staircase. You can just kind of see the world happening in front of you. Grand Central Station is also a good spot. I know this sounds like a little bit cynical, but there is something special about sitting in Grand Central and watching people trying to make their train. It's just a special feeling.
Oh, that's pure comedy. Pure comedy.
Like when it's not happening to you, it's the best. When you're the one having to sprint through a train station to find your train, it's awful. But when you just kind of get to sit there and watch it happen, it can be pretty entertaining.
Also, Grand Central Station, just exploring Grand Central Station, is a free activity in of itself. The ceiling is beautiful. The architecture is awesome. There's so much history in that building. So definitely check out Grand Central Station for people watching and
a slice of New York history. We're going to take a quick break to mention our free transportation guide. If you are coming to New York City for the first time or the 10th time and you need a refresher on how to get around the Big Apple, this is the answer. It is 100% free, and it covers everything from navigating the subway, getting a taxi, getting to and from the airports, biking around the city, and all the things that are important to make sure you maximize your time in New York City. So go to bettertogetherhere.com and click the button that says free navigation guide to sign up. All right, next on our list is the Staten Island Ferry. Again, we have talked about this before, but the Staten Island Ferry runs from down near Battery Park to Staten Island. It is completely free. We have talked about this before, but there are scammers who will sit outside of the Staten Island Ferry entrance in Battery Park and try to get you to pay money to go on a ferry somewhere else. Just don't do it. It's free. It never costs money. And you can ride it out to Staten Island, and it goes pretty close to the Statue of Liberty. So it's definitely the cheapest way to get close to the Statue of Liberty. You can take it all the way across. It's probably 30-ish minutes or so. And then as soon as you get off, you don't really have to spend any time in Staten Island necessarily. You can just get right back on another boat and come back and see the view from the other side. And it will kill, an hour or two. And it's a great way to see the Statue of Liberty.
Devin alluded to this a little bit, but we do have a podcast out about avoiding tourist traps. And like you mentioned, this is a big tourist trap area. They're constantly trying to trap us, even though we live here. Apparently we give off a tourist vibe sometimes, maybe. But definitely don't get scammed by the Staten Island Ferry people trying to sell you a ticket, because you don't need a ticket. You don't need to pay for anything. You don't need a tour. But yeah, check out that other episode that we have to avoid tourist scams.
And the Staten Island Ferry, depending on the time of day and whether it's weekdays or weekends, runs anywhere from every roughly 15 or 20 minutes, sometimes as far out as an hour. So it just depends on the timing. Just check the Staten Island Ferry website and get the full schedule. And when you're down in that area, another free activity that you can do once you come back across into Manhattan on the Staten Island Ferry is to check out the 9/11 memorial pools. So there is a 9/11 museum that is not free. It's paid admission. It's an amazing museum worth checking out if that's something that interests you. But for free, you can explore the memorial pools, which are outside of the museum and near One World Observatory. And they are just a remembrance of the many people who died on that day. And they are beautiful pools. It's this massive, they actually are the size of the base of the original two Twin Towers. But now there's like a pool and it's kind of a fountain that goes down in. It's hard to explain a little bit, but you have to experience it. And it's completely free. You can just walk around that area. There have names of all the different people who passed away etched into the kind of perimeter of the pools. There are plaques with information. It's just a nice kind of somber place to commemorate that day, and you don't have to spend $1 to do it. And that leads us to this episode's You'll Have to Check It Out segment.
The next stop is
$1.50 fresh pizza. So it makes me very sad to say not 99-cent fresh pizza. So it was
99 cents for so long.
For so long.
When I walked by and saw that they changed the sign and they changed the price, I think a part of me died.
I mean, we went to 99-cent fresh pizza before we lived here and loved it. And frankly, for us, like, we live relatively close to one. There are, I think, like 7 or 8 around the city.
The location that we like the best is on Broadway, located between 55th Street and 54th Street.
And it is often crowded because it is arguably the cheapest place to get food. Cheese slice, like we said, it was 99 cents for so long, but understandably they have had to raise the price to $1.50. But still, it's a great deal that for $3 you can get 2 slices of pizza and get relatively full. And I will say, it sometimes gets a bad rap for being, not the best pizza. And look, you kind of get what you pay for, but honestly, it's good pizza, especially like for a late night snack or, if you're in a rush and you just need to grab something, like it's pretty good pizza, all things considered, for the price.
It is cash only, so make sure that you bring cash. Highly recommend the cheese slice. I wouldn't necessarily recommend getting any toppings. I believe we've had the pepperoni pie before, and that was fine, but frankly, I think for what you're getting, you get the most bang for your buck if you're just getting plain cheese. This is not the place where I would recommend getting a margarita pizza or getting a Hawaiian pizza. Just get the cheese. You're going to be happy that you did. And usually when people come to town and we take them here, I tell people this is not the best slice of pizza you're going to have in New York, but it's pretty dang good for what you're paying.
And it's open late. Most of the locations are open till like 4 or 5 in the morning. It is somewhere that you can reliably go for a quick bite pretty much no matter the time of the day. And even when it's busy, they're constantly pumping out new pies. And so you probably won't stand in line for more than 10 minutes. And in most instances, you're only going to be in line for a couple minutes.
Like Devin was saying, I think one of the biggest value adds of this place is they are constantly pumping out pies all day long, so you know that you're getting a really fresh slice. Some pizza spots you go into, you can tell the pizza was made like 6 hours ago and it's kind of been sitting there and they're going to warm it up for you. Most of these slices of pizza are going to come out bubbling straight from the oven when they were made and right onto your plate for you to enjoy.
And there's not really anywhere else to get that cheap of a meal for $1.50 in New York City. So that's this episode's You'll Have to Check It Out segment, $1.50 fresh pizza. And now back to the free things to do.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
All right, number 6 on our list is the New York City Public Library on 5th Avenue. You do not need to be a library card holder to go in. There is no charge to get in. They do have paid tours. They also have some free tours. But this is on 5th Avenue. It's near some other free things that you can do, like exploring. We didn't include them on this episode, but exploring the Rockefeller Center area, exploring St. Patrick's Cathedral, all that good stuff. It's kind of right in that area. But the New York City Public Library on 5th Avenue is, in my personal experience, the most beautiful library I've ever been to in my entire life. There are parts of the library where you walk in and I can only describe it as like, it feels like you're in Hogwarts. And that doesn't really do it justice because Hogwarts is made up. It's not real. I know that. I'm aware. But like the architecture is beautiful.
We don't know that.
That's true.
We don't know. We're just still waiting for our letters.
That's true. We don't for sure know if Hogwarts isn't real. I'd like to think that it is real. But either way, there are books, up to the ceiling, and that is so much history, and it is a massive building, which is why they have tours. It's not just it's not what you expect of a library. It is a beautiful piece of history, beautiful architecture, beautiful artwork, so much to see, and it's just something that I think you should experience. Even if you just go in for 20 minutes, 10 minutes, walk around, go back out, it is something worth seeing.
They also have a public restroom.
Which is very important to know, frankly. Public restrooms, hard to come by in New York. So it's good to know where they are. All right, next on our list, most of the parks in New York City, so we'll talk about a few that we have experiences with, but all throughout all the boroughs, most of the parks will do a free events and free activities, right? So like Hudson River Park, which is on the west side of Manhattan, Bryant Park, which is kind of right close-ish to Times Square, even Central Park, they will have a calendar of free events. Sometimes it's yoga, sometimes it's movies in the park, sometimes it's salsa dancing, sometimes, the list goes on.
We recently did a silent disco in Hudson River Park that was totally free.
Which was an amazing time. So you just have to look on each of these parks' websites, look at their calendar of events. There is an awesome website, we'll link to it in the show notes, called clubfreetime.com. They have a newsletter. They showcase all the different free activities that are happening around New York City because, again, there are so many. We're just giving you some of the highlights. So make sure if you're traveling here to check the calendars for Bryant Park specifically and Hudson River Park. Those two are the ones that seem to have kind of the most free events. All right, next on our list is to go and explore art galleries. The saying of if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere, that definitely rings true, that you have so many artists here in New York trying to make it, trying to break into the scene. And because of that, you have a lot of art galleries. Some of them very fancy and very kind of niche types of art. Others you might find especially on like a Friday afternoon, they'll have multiple artists kind of all putting their different exhibitions within one gallery. And what's nice about this is the vast majority of them are completely free. And often when they do the openings, there's free alcohol. You can just show up, look at some of the art. They'll have some beers. Sometimes they have a little glass of wine. Obviously you can tip, but it's free. This is a completely free thing to do.
And a great way to go support local artists in New York trying to make it here.
Yeah, and if you are interested in this, one good thing to do, there's a lot of good Instagram accounts and those types of things that will kind of aggregate where there's different galleries. There's also a great app called Seesaw app, SEESAW, which shows different galleries in the area. There's a lot of art galleries in Chelsea, and a lot of them will have their opening nights on Thursdays and then Fridays, sometimes free events. So you just kind of got to be a little bit resourceful and use Google, use Reddit, use Instagram, and find different gallery openings and different galleries that you can go explore. And that's number 8 on our list, is visiting some free art galleries. All right, and that leads us to number 9, which is walking any of the bridges. So there are multiple bridges in and out of Manhattan. Arguably the most popular to walk across is the Brooklyn Bridge. We recently did an episode about things to do in Dumbo, Brooklyn. We talked all about the Brooklyn Bridge, but there are others. There is also the Manhattan Bridge. There's the Queensboro Bridge. There's the Williamsburg Bridge. Those are kind of the main ones you'd walk across. Some are better than others. Some are less focused on the experience of walking, and the views aren't as amazing, but frankly, each one has their own perks. I am a big runner. I am running the marathon this year. I've run it before. I have ran across every single one of these bridges. And while the Brooklyn Bridge obviously gets kind of the rep for being the most popular and beautiful and frankly the most geared towards pedestrians, I've loved walking across all of these. I really like having the experience of just seeing the different aspects and views of the city from these different bridges. And it's an activity that, you're active, you're getting out, you're doing something good for your health, and you get to explore a different part of a city and see views that you would not see from anywhere else. Even if you go across the bridge on a subway or in a car, you are not going to see the same type of views that you do by walking across one of these bridges. All right, and that leads us to number 10 on our list. I teased it at the beginning of the episode, and that is live tapings of some of your favorite shows. So through a website called 1iota, you can get free tickets to shows like Late Night with Seth Meyers, The Daily Show, Drew Barrymore's show, The View, and a few others.
Jimmy Fallon's.
Jimmy Fallon is often on there as well. The thing about these live show tapings, here's what you need to be aware of. If you know you're going to come, for example, if you know you're coming in January, you need to start looking ahead and planning and applying as soon as it's open. So basically the way they do it is they have an application process. Sometimes you get like a guaranteed ticket. Other times you may have to go stand in line and there's a chance that you get in. But essentially how that works is you've got to think these live tapings where they have a live audience, they want the crowd noise, they want the laughter, they want people clapping, they want it to be full. And so they are constantly trying to fill the seats. On a weekday, for example, it can be really easy to get a ticket to go see The Daily Show, and you get to see a live recording with Jon Stewart. Like, it's an amazing experience. We've done many of them. We've done The Daily Show. I've been to Seth Meyers, been to The Colbert Show.
We've been to SNL, but you can't get tickets on 1iota for SNL.
Yeah, the process is different and frankly much more challenging. But there is a high likelihood that if you plan ahead and do the work and apply, you can get into a live taping through 1iota.
I believe they start releasing the calendar of the tickets where you can apply for the tickets about 2 months in advance. So definitely start looking at the tickets if you're coming within a 2-month period.
And know that sometimes you may get an email that's like a last minute thing of like, hey, we had spots open up. There's a spot available for you at 3:00 to come to The Daily Show. So you kind of just got to keep your eye on it, and you may be able to get in and view a live taping.
You also can request tickets for shows on the same day. A lot of times there are, for example, the Drew Barrymore show typically does 2 shows per day. So they have like a 10 a.m. and then like a 2 p.m. The Stephen Colbert show, typically, I believe the tickets say that the show's at 4 p.m. So you could apply for several different tickets throughout the day, and you might get lucky and get into one.
And honestly, unless you live somewhere like Los Angeles, this is an experience you are not going to get anywhere else. And it's kind of, it's just kind of like this for me, like a childlike state of just intrigue, and you don't know what to expect. And, you're seeing behind the scenes of this thing that you watch on TV, and it's a really, really fun experience. Whether or not you really love those shows, like you may not think they're funny, or you may not align with the political views on them or whatever, it's a very unique experience to see the behind the scenes, see how it all functions. Pretty much all the shows will do a Q&A as well. They usually do it before, sometimes after, where you can raise your hand and ask a question to Stephen Colbert or to Jon Stewart. Like, it's just a unique experience that really should be something that you try to do, especially if you are looking for free activities. And it's nice because most of them are during the day. So even if you're thinking, oh, I'm going to go to a Broadway show at night, or, we're going to go out and go to a club in the evening, or whatever it is, it's a nice daytime activity to experience something new in New York. All right, we have one bonus idea as well. Yes, this is maybe not technically free because it's kind of frowned upon to go into a bar and not get a drink at all, but in this instance, you'd probably be fine. So the bonus idea, if you are a sports fan, almost every single sports team has a supporters bar in New York City. So I'm not just talking New York sports teams. I'm saying if you are, for example, a Tottenham Hotspur fan, like we are, like I am specifically, and Ashley as well a bit.
I am.
There is a Tottenham...
I will claim Tottenham. I won't claim the Browns.
Okay, I knew I couldn't say the Browns, but that's what I'm saying. So Tottenham Hotspur is a team from England in the Premier League. They have a supporters bar where every single game they have it on, and everyone crowds into the bar and cheers for Tottenham and has a good time and sometimes leaves sad. But going to these sports supporters bars, it is an amazing experience. If you have any type of fandom for a specific team and they are playing in the time that you're in New York City, find their supporters bar and go experience that. We've been to the Bills supporters bar. We've been to the Browns supporters bar. We've been to multiple different college supporters bars. I've been to the Newcastle bar. Like, there are so many fun sports supporters bars. We have an entire mega list on our website where we have the supporters bars for every Premier League team and every NFL team. We are working on expanding it into the future, but if you're here and your sports team is playing and you want to watch their game, find the supporters bars and go meet like-minded people and have a good time cheering for the team that you love. That's our bonus idea.
There really is nothing like being in a crowded bar, watching the team that you love with hundreds of other people that also love that same team and have a lot of the same shared experiences. It really is a cool way to feel like you're part of the city and get the most out of your time here.
Yeah, frankly, outside of being at the sporting event, like at the home stadium, this is my next favorite way to experience sports for teams that I love. So those are 10 free things to do in New York City with a couple bonus ideas in there as well. If you have not already, make sure you subscribe to our newsletter, bettertogetherhere.com/newsletter. We email about different activities that it might be happening, new articles that we write, new episodes, things that you want to know for exploring New York City. If you haven't already, one thing we would really appreciate is if you could leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, follow us on Spotify, wherever you are. Engaging with the podcasts helps the algorithm pick it up and show it to more people. And ultimately, our goal is to help people love their time in New York City, because we love New York City and we want everyone to have an amazing experience here. And other than that, we'll catch you on the next episode.
This is the last stop on this train. Everyone, please leave the train. Thank you for riding with NYC New York Express.